Today I'm reacting to your wrestling hot takes. In case you didn't know, Hot Takes is a weekly video series where I give you all a platform to be able to voice your thoughts, whether they're good or bad, about the current state of professional wrestling. We normally release these videos on Saturdays, but because Clash at the Castle is this Saturday, this is being released one day early. So if you want to be part of next week's Hot Takes video, make sure that you're following me on X. I'm going to ask for your hot take there every single Friday. Additionally, we're going to be doing a bonus Hot Takes episode right after Clash at the Castle. So if you want to submit your Clash at the Castle hot takes, make sure that you're following me on X. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring that bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I'm confident that you're going to fall in love with his YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. All right, let's read some stupid shit. Dijak would beat Santi in an oiled up ratios match. First of all, what the fuck is an oiled up ratios match? Second of all, can somebody explain to me the origin of this oil up Santi? Every single comment in the past like 10 videos that I've uploaded is oil up Santi, oil up Santi, oil up Santi, and every single tweet I tweet out, the first like 30 replies are people telling me to oil up, and now it's going to my Instagram. Now it's probably gonna happen in real life. Stop telling me to oil up. Drew physically can't win the title. It has to be Drew versus Punk at SummerSlam, not Drew versus Gunther for the second SummerSlam in a row. You know what's funny? I didn't even think about the fact that we've already seen Gunther versus Drew McIntyre at last year's SummerSlam, and frankly, it was kind of a bit of a letdown too, if I'm remembering correctly. So now that you've reminded me of this, now I definitely don't want to see Drew McIntyre versus Gunther again at SummerSlam. Don't get me wrong, this is an entirely different Drew McIntyre, and there is some interest and some intrigue how this version of Drew McIntyre would handle the ring general Gunther, but I don't want to see it again. I'd rather see things that we haven't seen before, and one of those things is Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk. And as we've mentioned numerous to the point of borderline nauseum, Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk does not need the World Heavyweight title to be involved in the feud. Maybe down the line, maybe when it's their third, fourth match, maybe it can involve the World Heavyweight title. But right now, as it stands, they've done such a great job of making this a true, genuine blood feud, which is a rarity in these days of professional wrestling, that actually putting a title on the line makes this business as opposed to it being personal. So keep the title out of it, keep the World Heavyweight Championship somewhere else. It'll benefit from being otherwise not involved in Drew versus CM Punk. It'll actually be better if it's not involved there. Hot take, not a single Scot leaves Clash with a championship. There's no way, right? I mean, really, there's no way that the WWE gives Scotland 3 Scots, all 3 in title matches, and none of them walk out with a championship. I just genuinely do not see that being the case, but maybe WWE is willing to freaking absolutely destroy their relationship with Scotland for the memes. Somebody is walking out with a championship that is of Scottish descent. I just don't see how they could waltz into this country, put on a wrestling show, tell them 3 Scots of championship matches, and none of them walk out with a championship. I feel like that's a way to start a riot. It seems dangerous. It feels like a scary decision to do. What is the WWE supposed to just waltz out of there in front of all of those angry Scots? No, thank you. Give one of those Scots a championship. NXT and TNA collaboration is not working up for any of the companies. NXT Battleground was below expectations. I'm going to agree with you that NXT Battleground was below expectations, but that is partly because we had such great expectations caused because of this NXT and TNA relationship. So if we are already getting excited at the prospect of this relationship and flocking to PLEs because of this relationship, then dude, it's pretty clear that the relationship is beneficial for both. It's definitely beneficial for TNA because there is a revitalized movement of people wanting to check out TNA, whether it's for the first time or maybe for the first time in like 10, 15 years. Maybe people are coming back to TNA, and it's because of this relationship with NXT. And it's helping NXT because it's giving people like Jordynne Grace the ability to have matches against people that have so much experience like Jordynne Grace. You gotta remember, dude, like the WWE main roster completely left the main event scene of NXT completely barren. They took all the top men's stars and all the top women's women's stars. So this relationship with TNA helps quickly infuse and inject main event level talent to both the men's and the women's division. We already saw it with Jordynne Grace. So I not only disagree with you slightly, I entirely disagree with you in the notion, the concept that NXT and TNA are not benefiting in any way, shape, or form. Battleground was below expectations. I will agree with you there, but maybe it was on us for expecting a little too much. The Rock just had the greatest heel run of all time. I don't even want to focus on whether or not The Rock had the greatest heel run of all time. I think there's just so much subjectivity there. I think that there's a very, very strong case to be made. But the reason I picked this is because it got me a little bit nostalgic. And it's funny to even say this out loud, but I'm nostalgic for the first quarter of 2024. I miss January 1st to April 7th, 2024. It already feels like it was an entire generation of wrestling ago. It feels so long ago, but it was just right there. And I think the reason why I miss it so much, the reason I'm already nostalgic for it, is partly because I'm fearful that we're never gonna peak like that ever again. There is a part of me that might believe, and I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, that I don't think wrestling can ever get better than what we saw from January 1st to April 7th. And I've been watching wrestling now for about 23 years. And in the 23 years that I've watched, that was the best thing I've ever seen the WWE ever do. That is the greatest run in WWE history. And it's got me in a bit of a WWE midlife crisis. Am I going to have to wait another 23 years to see another legendary moment, another legendary run, another legendary storyline like that? I don't know, man. Just gets me a little bit sad to think about. But what a time, man. What a time it was to be alive. Bo Dallas can't carry the Wyatt 6. They haven't even debuted and it's already flopped. This has taken longer than Veer getting on Raw. So I'm actually pretty much going to ignore the last two things that you said. How can you say that they've already flopped? And the whole Veer thing is a meme. You can't say that they've already flopped because you haven't seen them. If you're getting frustrated that they're taking too long, that's a different thing, but that doesn't mean that they've flopped. I want to focus on the first thing that you said. Bo Dallas can't carry the Wyatt 6. I weirdly think that this statement actually carries a bit of weight. And I think it carries weight because our expectations for this Bo Dallas Wyatt 6 thing, whatever it's called, is through the roof, partly because we are associating it with the brilliance of Bray Wyatt. But what we need to remember and just frankly acknowledge is that this doesn't involve Bray Wyatt. It involves his brother. And when we look at the things that he's done in the WWE prior to all of this, it's nothing that's really blown us away. It's nothing that's captivated us. So I think that we are putting a tremendous amount of hype, a tremendous amount of expectation on a guy that has not yet delivered. Do I want him to deliver? Can he deliver? Sure. And yes, of course he can deliver. And yes, I want him to deliver. But I feel like we are attaching Bray Wyatt's genius too much into this. We have to acknowledge that that's just not the case, sadly. It's not led by Bray Wyatt. It's led by somebody else entirely that hasn't demonstrated that they have the same level of genius and creativity that Bray Wyatt had. So we will see. I will not judge it until it actually appears on our screen, but I'm one of those individuals that actually has very tempered expectations. In fact, I'm nervous for it, like optimistically nervous for it, but I just see just a tremendous amount of hype for this, a ludicrously high levels of expectations that it's making me nervous that it's not going to land. And I hope that that's entirely wrong. Ricochet reached his limit in the WWE. He was never going to be a world champion and he had nothing left to do, in my opinion. I think that there is some truth here, whether he's reached his limit or not, only really Ricochet and the WWE knows. I feel like the WWE gave it a try during the Logan Paul saga between Ricochet and Logan Paul. And I don't think that the fans really rallied behind Ricochet, mostly because we just sort of felt like his promos weren't captivating enough to get us to rally behind him. And maybe that's where the WWE capped his ceiling, just to make him he's going to have a fantastic match on Monday Night Raw kind of guy. But I'm sure internally Ricochet feels like he can do more, and maybe he can, and it just isn't being given the opportunity. But it does seem to some capacity, he has reached a ceiling in the WWE. And maybe the thing to do is to step away from the WWE and just rock the indies for a while. And kind of like Cody Rhodes, make yourself undeniable while you're there. Victoria was better than Trish and Lita. I don't think that we need to say that Victoria was better than Trish and Lita, but thank you for putting Victoria's name in the same sentence as Trish and Lita. Every time people talk about women's wrestling in the Ruthless Aggression era, it's Trish and Lita this, Lita and Trish that. Where is the love for my woman Victoria? This woman was amazing. Frankly, I think she was better than both of them in the ring. But I don't know, that might be a little bit of a hot take in itself. But I do think that the Ruthless Aggression era of women's wrestling had more than two royal families. Bayley needs to lose the title as soon as possible. She has lost all of her hype after WrestleMania. She is becoming such a boring champion that out of all the titles in WWE, including NXT and excluding the Speed title, her title has the least importance and prestige in today's current scope. I really do disagree. I do not think that her title is the least prestigious. I do love what they're doing with Liv Morgan, but by default, it's Liv Morgan's title that has the least amount of prestige. It has the least amount of lineage. It has no contenders at the moment. There is no storyline happening directly involving the title. There's no chase happening from babyfaces trying to go after that title. It's Liv Morgan's title right now that has the least amount of prestige. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because they're still running a really good story involving Liv Morgan at the moment that has us all incredibly captivated. It's just a story that doesn't actually involve women's wrestling or the women's title pretty much in any capacity. Meanwhile, Bayley's is kind of the opposite. There's a lack there, I guess is what you can say, a lack of deep, meaningful stories, and instead it's matches for the titles. It's feuds that are really focused on in-ring work for the titles. And I do think that to a degree that helps elevate the prestige of the championship, but it might not be everyone's cup of tea. It doesn't sound like it's your cup of tea. It sounds like you're bored by this and that you want more narratives and larger, more grandiose storylines, which I will give you. Bayley hasn't really had those since winning the championship at WrestleMania. So perhaps the way that we can make everyone happy here, because I do like the matches that she's having, I do like the fact that she's a working champion, but I would love to see more meatier stories for her ever since winning the title. I feel like that is lacking. I hope Brock Lesnar comes back to have a beast versus beast feud with Braun Breaker. Those matches would feed generations. Yes, I am down for this if this is how it's done. Like if this is how we use Brock Lesnar, if it is to elevate the next generation of monsters, the next generation of WWE superstars. You know what I'm done with? I am done with the era of Brock Lesnar being in the main event scene. I am done with the era of Brock Lesnar winning championships. I am done with the era of Brock Lesnar winning a championship and then going off TV for 8-7 months at a time where the championship isn't being defended. I'm done with all of that. That is back in the Vince McMahon era. That is in the 2010s. We have to find a new and unique way to use Brock Lesnar, and frankly, the best way to use him right now, because he, I guess, is probably a huge PR nightmare. You can't have him be your champion. Have him be the beast that it becomes the stepping stone for the next beast. And I think this is a great way to do that. Bianca and Jade Cargill shouldn't lose the titles at Clash. No one else is uplifting the titles as good as they are. They're finally seen on multiple PLEs, and that shouldn't end yet. I think that you are hitting on something here. I do think that this is the most prestigious that the women's tag titles have ever felt. I feel like that's just an undeniable truth right now. When you have two megastars holding the title and not just doing like a short stint, like they are a proper tag team with proper tag team movesets, and they're getting storylines, they're getting TV time, free for TV matches, PLEs. Like that is going to help not just elevate the championships and elevate the champions, but it really is elevating the entire division. Compare it to the men's side of things when it comes to tag team wrestling, and mean, women's tag team wrestling is as hot as it's ever been, frankly. The only thing is that you gotta ask the question, when I look at Monday Night Raw and Liv Morgan has no contenders, no one to go off against right now, I think you could make an argument, and I'm only playing devil's advocate here, I'm not saying that we need to do this, you could be using Bianca Belair over on Monday Night Raw as a top-level main event babyface to go up against Liv Morgan to help elevate the, frankly, staggeringly low level of main event talent right now on the Raw women's side of things, because two of the biggest names are out of the picture. So there are ways that you could be using Jade and Bianca right now that could help elsewhere in the company. But it's undeniable that this is the most important that the women's tag titles have ever felt. They're doing the job. AJ versus Cody I Quit match will be the match of the year. The I Quit stipulation is perfect for the feud. I do think that it's perfect for the feud. As somebody that is just a wrestling loser, somebody that just sort of understands reading between the lines, this is not that it already wasn't. This kind of spoils to the fact that Cody Rhodes is obviously going to win. Cody Rhodes is never going to say I quit. Just like whenever you put John Cena in an I Quit match, that dude was never going to quit. He literally had the mantra of never give up. And look, John Cena kind of ruined I Quit matches in general. And, you know, this is saying a lot coming from the John Cena guy. Cody Rhodes is the next evolution of the Cenas. He is the next evolution of the babyface that is impossible to put down. He's never saying I quit. It doesn't matter. You can shoot him in the leg 35 times and he'll be like, I'm still gonna put you in 3 crossroads and win. It spoils the match. It's gonna be a fucking great match though. The biggest problem in wrestling right now is that every major storyline feels less important because every single one of them is waiting for inevitable returns and feuds. Punk, Roman, Rock, Jimmy, Jacob Fatu, hell, even Gunther and Nia are in a holding pattern right now. I think you're hitting it exactly on the head. I've been having this thought on the Wrestling is Cool podcast that so many of the championship feuds, so many of the main event caliber feuds are feuds that are gonna happen, but aren't happening yet, which means that everything that happens in between just sort of is spoiled by default. For example, Cody Rhodes versus The Rock, they set that. And then we're gonna get it in the future, which means most likely that everything that happens between Cody Rhodes and The Rock, Cody Rhodes is winning so that he can go into the feud with The Rock, being a really strong babyface and still holding the championship. That, funnily enough, is happening with not just Cody Rhodes now. It is happening with Liv Morgan. We're waiting for Rhea Ripley. It's happening with Drew McIntyre. We're waiting for CM Punk. It's happening to Damian Priest or whoever is holding the World Heavyweight Championship because we're waiting for Gunther. We're waiting for Nia. There actually is a tremendous amount of that going on. And yeah, it was initially a Cody Rhodes issue, but it is happening kind of across the board right now. Otis is going to be the biggest babyface when he turns on Chad. That pop will be unreal. God damn it. The WWE is so good at doing this. They've done this so many times already before, and every single time they do it, it works. This is why I'm totally okay with the WWE going back into their bag of tricks from the past and borrowing it and making it modern day, because they've done this. They did this with, remember, Daniel Bryan and the Wyatt family when everybody was waiting for Daniel Bryan to finally kick Bray Wyatt's head in, and the pop was absolutely legendary and monumental. They're doing it again. They're doing it again, and it's going to work. They are setting up for a monumental super pop for Otis whenever it is that this happens. Will this finally be the catalyst that propels Otis into the main event scene? It sure as shit is gonna help. I don't know that it's guaranteed that it's going to really cement Otis as a top, male single superstar, but it could. All I know is that I'm living in the moment, and in the moment, what I want is for Otis to hit that goddamn caterpillar on Chad Gable. We need Pretty Deadly back on our TV screens. Yes, boy! Yes, boy! Where the hell are they? Like, that's a genuinely good question. The SmackDown Tag Team division is actually pretty stacked, and we're only seeing 2 teams being featured, that being A-Town Down Under and DIY. Where the hell is Pretty Deadly? I don't know what they're doing, but desperately hope to see them soon because they are one of my favorite acts in WWE. I despise the Liv and Dom storyline. I usually don't like romance stories in wrestling in general, but this one for me, for some reason, is so cringy to me. It makes me want to turn the TV off. Listen, to each his own. You like what you like and you don't like what you don't like. It's a little bit surprising to me, though, that you say that you don't like this Dom story with Liv when you make it explicitly clear that you just don't like romance stories in wrestling. I think it's pretty normal to not like that. But of course, that's going to mean that you're probably not going to like the Dom and Liv stuff. Not that it was a mystery to you, but that's the reason why you don't like what's going on. It's the reason why you think it's cringy, because you don't like this style of storyline in the WWE. I have my style of storylines that I don't like either. And if they appear, I'm not going to like them. I'm not going to resonate with them. That's why I say to each his own. That's why I don't try to get into arguments when people say they don't like X and they don't like Y, because who the hell am I to tell you what you like and what you can't like? Me personally, I am invested in this storyline. A lot of people are invested in this storyline. What I would personally like to see is Liv Morgan actually be a women's champion, actually be a women's wrestler, because right now she is just this succubus of a woman that is trying to take apart the boys. But she's holding the strap. She's a champion. She should be wrestling. She should be having feuds for that belt, but it's all on the back burner until we get Rhea back. But who the hell knows when that's going to be? I don't know how long you can run with this storyline without having Liv Morgan be a fighting champion. That's what I personally want to see here. For the WWE to create a cinema type of feud with a faction, they need to have Sami Zayn be involved, and it's hilarious. First the Bloodline, and now Alpha Academy. I never noticed this until you just pointed it out. So I guess just add Sami Zayn to every storyline involving a faction, and it's going to end up becoming a legendary WrestleMania worthy like storyline. Ludwig Kaiser should win Money in the Bank. He has every attribute of a star, great in the ring and fantastic on the mic. He is great at playing the snarky Bond villain type heel. Winning the briefcase will help elevate him even further. There's not a single thing here that I disagree with, right down to calling him a Bond level villain, because that's also what I've been referring him to. He is a very unique type of heel. I really think that with time, with a little bit of tender love and care, if he continues to be protected, he can be a top level heel on any particular brand, whether it's Raw or SmackDown. I really think that that is the ceiling for somebody like Ludwig Kaiser. It's really, really high. It's really, really tall, just like him. I do think that he would make a fantastic Money in the Bank winner. I do think, however, we're due for a babyface men's Money in the Bank winner. Last couple have been heels, so let's maybe change the tides and have a babyface win it. But I think he's a great choice. If he does win it, I'll not only be okay with it, I'll be ecstatic. All right, folks, those are the hot takes for this video. Thank you so much for sending them in, but we're done here. Enjoy Clash at the Castle. Get out of here.